So as you can see, I do love my Peloton, and which is another reason why I did choose this topic to talk about and the health benefits from physical exercise in general. So as you guys all know, exercise can help us in multiple ways. Of course, it helps us maintain our weight. It helps with regards to our building muscles and our muscular fitness. It strengthens our bones. It also helps with our cardiovascular system as well. It helps regulate our blood sugars. It helps with our blood pressure as well as our aerobic fitness. And that way, we also prevent chronic illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity. It also helps improve academic performance as well as helps us mentally with regards to reducing depression and anxiety. And I'll go through that as well in more detail. So as you guys all know, stress is inevitable, right? We all get stressed out, and stressors always come into our day-to-day lives, and it puts a toll on our body. It affects our immunity, and it lowers our immunity. It helps us, it actually leads us to getting sick. It also causes hormonal irregularities, causes cardiac issues as well as gastric issues, and it affects our mental health as well as our brain, since stress can also increase cortisol levels as well, and that could lead to certain strokes and affect us further. So how does exercise help us? So it boosts our well-being and our confidence, and it helps us with handling stress proactively. So what it does is it releases endorphins, and endorphins is a feel-good hormone. So that's released from the hypothalamus as well as the pituitary gland. And what that does is it promotes a positive mood, and it also promotes a sense of hopefulness, and it improves our ability to rationalize in certain situations in our surroundings, allowing us to deal with certain stressors. It also helps with producing norepinephrine, which is another neurohormone that helps improve our mood as well as reduces brain fog. It also helps with our central as well as sympathetic nervous system to work together. So that way it makes us feel more at ease rather than at a constant fight or flight kind of reaction. So we deal with stress easily. And also knowing that you're moving and doing something proactively rather than resorting to bad habits like stress eating and all that also boosts our self-esteem too, and it makes us feel better. And also, as we know, depression and anxiety is something that's becoming more and more common. And we're seeing it all around the world, not just in the United States, as well as in kids. And it's not just in adults, and even kids that are now younger as well. So we've noticed that based on our 2021 and 2022 data, that 10% of kids from 3 to 17 years old suffer from anxiety and 4% from depression. So what studies have noticed is that working out along with a healthy diet as well as therapy, and sometimes medication can help if needed, is a powerful tool against depression and anxiety. So how does exercise help us? So moving our body excites the brain, and that will improve our blood flow to the brain. It helps produce more neurons. It also helps reduce inflammation. It promotes an inner balance too. And as I mentioned before, it releases endorphins as well as serotonin and norepinephrine. It's also a healthy distraction from life, and you end up having more positive thoughts, and it helps you convert those negative thoughts into positive. Exercise also helps with sleep, and that's something that is becoming also more common lately in society, where everyone's going like, I'm having difficulty falling asleep or having difficulty staying asleep. And when you don't sleep well, you end up not feeling well the next morning. You feel tired and you're not able to focus. It also leads to lowering your immunity, and you're not able to perform your best, as well as it can lead to metabolic and cardiac irregularities. So physical activity actually increases the body's core temperature. So that also helps promote wakefulness. And then what it does as well is that after 30 to 90 minutes, it also reduces that body temperature. So you feel calmer and feel more at peace, and it can also facilitate sleep. So there are certain workouts that can help throughout the day to help with your sleep or to help wake you up. Studies have shown that aerobic or resistance exercise in the morning helps because it releases melatonin later on during the day, and it can help facilitate sleep. High intensity exercise in the afternoon because it wakes you up, as well as light resistance or aerobic training in the evening since it helps calm you down too. Exercise also helps with memory as well as how you retain information. So what it does is it helps improve the blood flow to the brain, so that activates the neurons and also promotes cell growth. And that's important for memory as well as information retainment. And what it does is it ends up causing all these neurotrophic factors to grow. And those are also, they form connections in the brain, so you're able to remember things better. So as you can see here, there was actually a study that showed 20 students that were taking the same test. Some were sitting quietly, and this is what it showed. And then after 20 minutes of walking, this is what it showed, where they're able to retain more information, and that's because they produced more of the BDNF, which is the neurotrophic factor, after just 30 minutes of walking. So regular workouts can help stimulate your brain and keep them growing too. So some guidelines, because what is physical activity? Is it just like 30 minutes a day? Is it 45 minutes a day? So studies have shown that for kids that are from 6 to 17 years old should do about 60 minutes or more of physical activity daily. And that would include, it should mainly include aerobic activity. Most of the 60 minutes should be that and should be done at least 3 days a week. And then the rest should be as well muscle strengthening as well as bone strengthening, which is part of your 60-minute interval too. So what is technically considered aerobic training? So that's when you move your muscles for a long period of time, and it helps with your cardio respiratory fitness, such as running, hopping, skipping, swimming, dancing, cycling. Muscle strengthening is when we actually use our muscles and we kind of overload them, so it helps build them. And that could be structured with like weights or resistance bands. It could also be unstructured, where it's like playing on the playground or doing tug of war or climbing trees, or not really sure what else kids are into lately. And then there's bone strengthening, which helps promote bone strength and bone growth. And that's when you have like impact with the ground, and it's like with running or jumping or basketball and tennis and handball. That's true. So how do these different exercises help us? So aerobic exercise, because it increases our heart rate and increases our blood flow, it makes us more awake, so we're able to retain information and it improves our focus. Strength training helps with our physical health, so it also boosts your self-esteem too, and it prevents you from also getting sick. Yoga and mindfulness helps with relaxing you and you feel more at ease, so it improves focus and concentration in that way. And team sports gives you an opportunity to actually work as a team and develop like your social skills. And adaptive sports are for those people that have disabilities or certain limitations, so they're also still able to incorporate this in their life. I know I've been talking about all these positive things about exercise, but has anyone ever gone through a time where it didn't really help and it actually made them feel worse, or there was too much pressure? That's true. And it's like you want to work out, but you're not really feeling up to it. And it's like, do I push myself? Do I not? So not all exercise can have a positive impact on our self-esteem and mental health. And that's because of like competitive sports, if we're noticing a change in our health, or if there's an injury, if some activities have unrealistic expectations too, where it's like we can't be training for so long and it's just not possible, or if we feel evaluated, criticized, or judged too, or if we also feel uncomfortable, whether it's in the outfit that we have to wear to do the exercise or the activity, or it's because we also feel bad about our body image too. So athletic practice can be detrimental as well with regards to increasing risk of injury, since kids are growing and their growth plates are closing as well, so that puts them more at risk of having an injury. They also have weaker ligaments and tendons, so that's where they're more at risk of having an injury as well. And there are times where you're not as flexible as others, so that further puts you at a risk, and it'll affect your performance, and you'll start feeling more anxious and start comparing yourself to others, so it can also lead to peer isolation. As well as if you're not taking frequent like breaks or rests, you feel overworked and burnt out, and that would increase injuries and also increase like peer isolation because you wouldn't want to be with everyone. And then the competitiveness also removes the fun out of the sport, and you end up also having negative interactions with your peers too. So this is in summary. I apologize for the mishaps of the slide just because I do have a Mac and then it was converted to PowerPoint. But this is just in summary of everything I just said. I'm not going to go through everything. But as we noticed, the positive impacts of physical activity is it enhances your fitness. It helps with your emotional and physical health as well, and it prevents your risk of chronic disease. Whereas the negative impact is it can cause injuries. Psychologically, it helps with depression, it helps with anxiety, also helps with cognition too, and your self-worth and developing your social skills. The negative impact is you feel more stressed to be the best player and you start being too competitive, and that's where it affects you negatively. So some tips that we can give parents and coaches is that we should both emphasize the fun part of it and the fact that we're supposed to be doing a peer collaboration, and it's not just about winning, it's more about the fun of the game and interacting with others and also acquiring these skills. We don't need to master them, it's just you do as best as you can and always giving them positive praise. Another thing that we would do is to coach the coaches as well to make sure that they're speaking to the kids in an age appropriate manner as well, and to make sure that they're incorporating the safe precautions. So ways society can help too is by increasing funding to help these coaches get the proper training and the proper safety precautions too. We can also improve the policies and procedures and rules for all these things with regulations guided by science and research. We can increase the participation of underserved groups, as well as do pre-participation physicals. That helps with reducing the risk of injuries. It also does the athlete education part, and it identifies any underlying health problems that weren't known to begin with. So these are some organizations I found that promote a positive sports environment. And if you guys want to click the links later on, after we can forward the slides as well. These are a few resources that I've used, and that is